It's not so easy. I think it's many explanations. One has to do with distribution and marketing, and the other one is a strong tradition in Nordic countries for writing this kind of fiction. It's been respected as good fiction for many years. So it's a lot of talents, literary talents, wants to write crime fiction, and of course it is contemporary fiction about today's life, about today's politics, and how to be a citizen in a way. So I think it's people can identify in a way and recognize the kind of stories, and I think they like it. Yes, that's a paradox, right? But I think it has to do with that this is adventure, and fiction is about magic, dream away, think about something else, and it also is about seduction. I don't think it's necessary it has to have happened, but it's possible it could happen, and I think readers are intrigued by that. There's a contract when you read a book. You know this is just rubbish, this is just fantasy, but at the same time there's something happening in readers when they read. They like to imagine this world and go and flow with it and identify with the protagonist and hate the antagonist, etc. And I think it's typical. Last year I was in Mexico. It's a very violent country. When we arrived there, there had been, I think, 25 killings the last week, and there's no crime fiction to talk about there. They have it enough in real life. I think that's the kind of mechanisms that are working. Before I was a full-time writer, I was a teacher, and I was a teacher working with different kind of people that were disabled in a way. I mean, not physically, but like drug addicts. They are dropouts. I mean, they drop out of school at the age of 15, 16, and if they have a tough life, and if they want to, if they try to come back to society, they need some education, and my job was to be their teacher. Therefore I had a lot to do with drug addicts, and I mean, this kind of class was all ex-drug addicts only. I think it's a sign of that people are not very happy in my country. I mean, I'm happy. There's some happy people, of course, but I mean, there's something wrong in when very rich society lose a lot of children to drugs and deaths and things. So, and that's maybe something literature should focus on. I mean, that's because of course you can re-establish things politically and work through political processes and say you must change this and change that, but I think also fiction is very important for people to understand how life can be. And I think when so many young people feel alone and feel outside, this community I live in lacks something very important. And I think it's a long process to change that, but I think it has to do with wealth and cynicism and I think too much money is not good for society, you know. I think it's in general, in fiction, is a lot of snobbish kind of attitudes and rules that are working. I mean, if you're a very posh reader, you read Dostoevsky or Tolstoy, etc. And in traditional crime fiction has been some kind of pulp, low-key, working class kind of housewife literature. I think if you look at this genre, crime fiction, it's only 150 years old. You know, I mean, the first book that can be identified as a crime fiction book is written by Edgar Allan Poe in the 1840s. So this genre has established and there's been a lot of writers exploring and developing this genre, but still there's a lot of crap. I mean, if you go to Frankfurt or Leipzig or the big book fairs, you see thousands of books, and of course not everything is okay, right? But it's also like that in the other type of fiction. I mean, book business is a very big business, and quality is very rare also in what you call ordinary fiction. So what I think is that because this new huge wave of crime fiction is so overwhelming, I think a lot of readers will get fed up and it will lose a lot of respect. But it will still be writers making stories in that genre, so it will continue to develop, I think. I think that was a phenomenon. Yeah. I mean, he was a perfect kind of myth, you know. He was dead and he had written these 3 books, and there was a lot of subsidiary things around it. His girlfriend got nothing of the money, and his hated father got everything, etc. So it's a lot of gold for marketing, but of course it was very good books, right? Because or else not everyone had bought them, and there wouldn't have been movies and etc. spin-off. But I think it's the same with Dan Brown, etc. It's a wave and it disappears, and I don't think I'm no, what do you call? I don't think has any effect on my writing. Bestsellers, will always be there, and they. I think that's not the literary phenomenon. It's more market phenomenon. Yes. Not so much. I mean, I have been a writer for many years, so I've been writing also non-fiction books and ordinary fiction books, but I think the demand for crime fiction makes it possible for me to have this as a full-time work, and I'm happy for that. But I also now I'm so established in my home country that I can also write other type of books and have an income. It's very important to do research, because then it's possible if you get some. When you know something, and if you can explore things and research, you have the possibility to write about it. I mean, if I should write about something happening here in Zagreb, I had to do a lot of research about the city historically, and go around and search out for, and this, I mean, only this description of buildings, food, traditions, etc. I think that's the main part of a writer's work, is to do research like that.